Good evening, Drew.
Hey, buddy, how's the car?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You driving everywhere in it?
I mean, all the places I have to go to,
Cool,
which is
cool.
mostly the grocery store or the high school right now. Uh,
Who are you taking to the high school? Your daughter?
it's just pick. Well, it's going there to pick her up from like after school stuff, and going there for band booster stuff as well. So yeah.
Hmm.
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 Hmm. Hmm. But it's good. It's good. I like it. It's good.
Yeah.
It
Well,
makes
it's a good car.
it makes a little spaceship sound when you're going slow and the electric motor's only on. So.
Oh, it does like that little
Uh-huh.
hum.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. What's the backup? Does it do like a little beep on backup too?
It will do the hum on backup.
Oh.
Yeah.
I forget where I was, but there was some car that had. I forget what kind of car it was, but it basically had. It sounded like a truck backing up. Like it was like literally one of those beeps as it was backing up. It was super. It was super weird.
Huh.
Super weird. Okay. So there's one topic here that got bumped from the last episode that I'm like really anxious to hear about.
Okay.
So take us in.
Okay. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, Drew. I don't know if you knew that about me, but I subscribe to quite a few of the pods, and I listen to them in the little moments of my life, where like if like I'm eating breakfast or doing the dishes or getting ready or in the car. And my podcast player of choice for a long time since it came out has been Overcast, made by Marco Arment, and it's been great. It's worked well. It's got a really great voice boost, so things just sound good. It's got my favorite feature of any podcast player, and that's being able to strip out silences, so everything just goes a little bit faster. But recently, I don't know, 2 months ago, he's been working on a new version of Overcast, and it's got a new UI, and I just don't know if I like it anymore.
Well, I don't use Overcast, so walk me through kind of what you think the thought process is.
Okay. So I get, as someone who used to be a developer, like there's a point where you're looking at the code, you're like, oh my god, this is just too awful to go on. It's brittle, it's spaghetti code, it's awful, and I get the desire to throw it all away and start over. I do. And he built it on modern technologies, like Swift UI and Swift concurrency and all this little stuff. But so just also, like, new version has been it's been a little bumpy, it's been buggy. I still have issues today where, like, sometimes you attach CarPlay and you go to hit play on the podcast and it just does nothing, and then it crashes. And you launch it again, then it's fine. But what he really did is he overhauled the UI. And like how it used to work is, I'm not going to talk about like organization of podcasts and how it does playlists or whatever.
Sure.
But the fundamental of it is you had a list of podcasts, you picked one, and then the UI kind of became like in two sections. In the bottom was your playback controls.
Sure.
And in the middle was like these cards you can swipe left and right. One was the album art, and you can swipe to one, and it was the chapters, and you can swipe to another one, and it was the show notes. So usually like 3 or 4 little cards you can swipe between. But what he has done, so okay, so in iOS, you're familiar, I'm sure you've seen it a lot of times, like the notion of the sheet, right? You do something and this little sheet comes up from the bottom, and you can kind of see the other, like the first view you were on, kind of behind it, kind of just peeking up over the top, and you can tap that and it discards it. Okay, so sheets are very, very, very popular these days, But I hate them when like they're the primary place where user interface is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Overcast works now. Is you have your list of podcasts, you pick one to play it. Of course, I don't have any podcasts that actually do it, but then it opens up all the playing stuff in a sheet. Instead of just being the UI. It's now it's the sheet coming up from the thing, and he's changed how you get to chapters and stuff. And I've stuck so I've tried Pocket Casts, and I can tell you right now, Pocket Casts is not for me. Nope.
What's Pocket Casts?
It's another podcast app out there. It's very popular.
Okay. So you're looking for alternatives now.
Yes. Pocket Casts has kind of like the smart speed, the strip silence feature that I like. It's just, I don't know. I get a feeling. I mean, it's cross-platform, right? Like it exists on, what does it exist on? Android, Mac, everywhere you can get Pocket Cast, and it shows. Yeah, it's definitely a cross-platform app, and it's just not very good. And I like the audio features of Overcast, which is primarily my interface, right? And usually I hit play and I don't have to look at Overcast again. But, I do occasionally skip a chapter or want to look at show notes or click a link. So I am in there. And I just don't know if I can take it anymore. It's like, it's like I said, is Overcast bad now? And,
well, look, I think anytime a UI gets overhauled, it's always tough, right?
It is.
And I'll be fully transparent. I'm very behind on a lot of my podcasts. So I don't know if he's been talking through his journey, because they tend to do that over on ATP.
He has been on the Accidental Tech podcast. Like I said, as someone who has written code professionally, I totally get where he's coming from. I just don't know whether he does, like, I just feel like he's made some design choices with the app that just aren't good.
Okay, so here's my hot take. I'm a huge fan of the Accidental Tech podcast. I think those boys put on a hell of a show, and I generally like the topics that they talk about. But I have found myself not listening as much anymore.
Okay, yeah.
And it's not because I think that they're bad people or that the show is bad. It's just Marco in particular is my least favorite person on that show.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
John is John, and Casey's like wishy-washy sometimes, but he's generally like they're generally good dudes. Marco is just operating in a headspace that I don't think a lot of us can get to, right? Because I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what his like personal life situation is, but Marco strikes me as a person who, because of his previous jobs, he probably has a little bit of fuck you money.
He does.
Like I feel like he buys cars and houses faster than I do.
Yeah, he's got a problem with cars.
And here's the thing. As somebody who enjoys reading and keeping up to date about cars, Marco does not make smart car purchases. Like when he decided to buy a Land Rover Defender, like the thing that absolutely killed me.
Is that the last car that he bought? Because there's two more after that.
Well, he has the Rivian now, right?
No, he has sold the Rivian.
What has he bought since?
Oh, he bought some BMW electric.
Oh, the i3 for TIFF
vehicle. No, it's another one. I don't know.
Okay,
I'd have to go and look. But he sold it for an electric BMW.
Well, regardless, it's just I think it's important to understand that
ranking was probably the i7 because it cost the most.
Well, they don't even make it anymore, so you had to buy it used, which is like buying a used electric is such a roll of the dice. But see, that's my problem. Is these guys all came together because it turned into Accidental Podcast after it was a failed automotive podcast.
That is true. Yes.
And the fact that self-proclaimed automotive podcaster would rationally buy a Land Rover because they're I mean, I understand they look sexy.
But he lived on a beach, Drew.
Yeah, but they look sexy. They look sexy, totally get it. It's a total vibe, but they're just terrible cars. And I don't see how you talk yourself into that if you're a self-respected like car journalist person. I don't understand. I don't understand that philosophy, but I think that belays some deeper waters with Marco that maybe like, rules for thee, but not for me. Like he's probably making decisions that he thinks people want to see. I generally know just again from listening to the show that he listens to feedback. I'm just wondering how much of that he's actually taking versus I'm Marco and I'm successful. I'll just do this.
Yeah. I mean, he has made changes to feedback and he has changed the UI a little bit. I just don't think it's enough. It's just, I don't know what I'm going to do, Drew. Like,
what do you hate?
Everybody.
What do you hate about the normal podcast app, like Apple Podcasts? Like, what do you hate?
It doesn't have smart speed. It doesn't strip silences.
Okay.
I have hold on, I can pull my stat. Hold on. About on an Overcast, smart speed has saved me an extra 501 hours beyond speed adjustments alone.
Jesus Christ.
I listen to a lot of podcasts, Drew.
I guess.
And I don't like chipmunk voices, so I don't like speeding it up. But smart speed just strips out the little pauses and, and little silences, so it just goes a little bit faster, and I like it a lot.
It's interesting.
And
I've never used any of those features. I just listen to it as the artist intended.
Yeah, that's why I like smart speed, because it doesn't make the speech any faster. It just, like if there's a pause like this, Overcast will just get rid of it. So if you didn't hear that pause in the audio, as it could be because I edited it out, or it could be because you're using Overcast. But I don't know. Maybe I'll try Apple Podcasts to see if it bothers me to not having that. I don't know.
For me, it's just that's what shows up in CarPlay first, and if I start playing a podcast, that's just kind of what default opens on my phone. It's not because I dislike any of those other apps. That's just the one that opens, and I just start listening. Because generally, I listen to podcasts as well when I'm driving, or if I'm working and I just want to passively listen, like something that I'm sort of paying attention to, but not, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess those features those aren't make or break features to me because I'm not actively listening, I guess, is the where I would put it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. See, I can't work and listen to podcasts. I just can't do it. I can't do it.
It's hard.
Work is music time. Work is music time. So
yeah, I totally understand that too. And I do a lot of music listening when I'm doing that too. But sometimes there are certain podcasts that if I'm just like answering email or reading something, I guess I can. If I'm hardcore coding, it's very hard to pay attention to a podcast. If I'm actively trying to solve a problem.
Yeah. I can't do anything with language and listen to a podcast. Like I can't read an email. I can't write an email. I can't like talk to somebody. Just language coming in to my senses in more than one way. My brain just goes, no, and just revolts. So
yeah, no, I get that.
But
I get that.
But yeah, but like music, I can tune out, right? If I'm working, I can just let it be in the background, but not my podcasts.
Well, so how frequently is he releasing updates for the app right now?
Oh, that's a good question.
So I guess like when's the last time you looked?
I mean, I keep everything up to date, not overstock.com. Thank you, search.
So good.
Isn't there a version history?
I don't know.
I thought there was, and maybe there's not. I mean, he's been
tinkering.
He's been doing it relatively like frequently. Making 1 week ago was his last update. There it is. And then 2 weeks before that, and then a week before that, and then a month before that, and then a month before that. So it's like semi-frequently. He's got a little cadence out there, but I don't know. I'm just mostly here to complain. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
No, I mean I'm not going
to use Spotify. That's for damn sure. No Spotify.
Yeah, I can't listen to podcast. I can't listen to podcasts on. No. Yeah, I can't do that.
No. I would pay Spotify more money to never see a podcast on there again. and I would pay a software engineer a crisp $20 bill if the Spotify mini player remembered its size and location in between launches. But, whatever.
Is Spotify your main music consumption app?
Yeah, if I'm streaming, yeah.
You don't have any others that no? Yeah. I pay for Spotify. I use it. I use it a lot. I do too. I use it a lot.
I've got a family plan. I listen. Yeah.
Yeah, I finally got that situation fixed because like Mandy and I both had plans, and they gave you an option where you could basically you had to buy the family plan, and then you had to migrate an existing user over to the family plan and cancel the other plan. And I'll never forget. One day, I think I did it I did it the day before I was set to travel to San Francisco. I was like, I finally got this figured out. And I did it, and then I got on a plane and I went to San Francisco, and I spent like
did you break your Spotify?
And yeah, I did. I got to San Francisco. I did like the 2 full days of stuff that I needed to do there. And on like the third day after we were done around noon, I had a little time. I was like, I'm going to go explore. I'm going to go down. I'm going to walk around, And I put in my AirPods, fired up Spotify, and like Spotify can't log you in. Spotify can't log you in. And it's like, son of a bitch.
No.
So I had to walk around without AirPods like a monster, listening to everybody's stupid conversations. Anyway, yeah, I finally got that situation figured out.
Good.
Okay.
I want to talk about something I like.
Okay.
And this is a deep pull.
Okay.
So I have had the occasion to acquire 2 new iPads.
Okay.
These are for the band. If you remember last year, I bought some Android tablets. I'm slowly phasing out all the Android tablets that the band is using. So this year I asked and was purchased 2 new iPads. And I went with the 9th gen iPad.
Mm-hmm.
Now these have the classic like iPad shape. They have a Touch ID button. They have big margins. They have rounded size. And right now, the 64 gig model you can get for $200.
$200 US dollars.
200 American freedom bucks. Which is a pretty good deal for an iPad. And I'm here to tell you that 9th gen iPad is amazing.
Okay.
So first of all, I forgot how good the rounded sides felt in the hand. Because right now all the iPads have the normal, like, it's, you're basically all iDevices are various sizes of box.
Right.
Like flat top, like flat sides, flat bottom. This has that nice gentle curve on the bottom. So it doesn't look as nice because it's got big old thick black margins. But you know what's great about those margins, Drew? It's a place to put your thumb.
It is a place to put your thumb.
Yes, you can hold it and have your thumb. It's plenty fast. Heck, I would say that it's faster than the Android tablets that I bought that are technically made after 2021.
Sure.
It's got it's got an A13 Bionic, not even that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I was going to say it's a good iPad, but for $200, it's a great iPad.
So when you say it's $200, is it like refurbished or
no
brand
new?
You can still buy it new, even though this is a 3-year-old iPad.
Yes. Yeah. Apple is still they're still selling. I don't think they sell them on Apple, like on the Apple's website, but they still sell them new through other retailers. So like,
where'd you get it?
We got these from Amazon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that probably.
Oh, okay. So, right now they're $224. So I lied. They've gone up $24.
Yeah, there's a rush.
But when I bought them, they were $200.
Yeah, thanks to our podcast, there's a rush on these.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe Best Buy still has them for cheaper, but yeah, you can still buy these things for Okay, so $224, but I would say, wow, look at that Amazon URL. Oh, she's
Yeah,
thick.
wow. Holy shit, dude. I got an algorithm to think of here.
Oh, wow. Uh, but yeah, that's yeah. It's a good iPad. It's a good iPad.
So,
No complaints.
and again, like you said, this is in service of the band boosters and like checkout and everything that you're doing for the.
Yeah. The only thing they're gonna run on these is Square, right? They're gonna use Square. It's gonna be for point of sale stuff. So like the 64 gig size is perfect. But like if you took my 13-inch or my big whatever it is, my
Take your big 13 inches, say less.
yeah, yeah, my iPad Pro and took it out of my hands and said you had to use this iPad for I don't know, for a month, 2 months, 3 months, I'd be like, okay, it's still good.
Well,
It's good.
time out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can this run the later versions of iOS?
Yeah, it can run 18. Yeah,
because there is a cutoff. There is a cutoff though.
Yeah. It will still run. I still have 17 on them because it was just easier to get it set up that way. But iOS 18 is an option. I don't know. Like, will it support 19? Who knows? But yeah, it's still a good. Yeah, what are they selling? They just sell the 10th gen.
I'm gonna check Micro Center real quick. I think Micro Center will probably. Micro Center tends to sell either refurbed or older like Apple stuff at like super good prices. Okay, so iPad, you said 9th gen.
9th gen.
So interestingly enough, under series, the choices are iPad 10, iPad 6, iPad 7, iPad Air 6, Mini 6, Pro 11, Pro 13. What are we on now?
Yeah. No. The new one. Hold on.
10th generation.
What do they call it? iPad Pro.
iPad 7? No, that's not the one you're talking. You have to talk about the 9th gen.
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't keep track of.
So Micro Center has a Apple iPad 10th generation.
That's the one that Apple sells on their website.
In yellow for $314. 64 gigs.
Which that's still a pretty damn good price.
Good.
Yeah. I guess that $200 was a brief momentary sale that everybody seemed to have, but now they're $229.
Okay.
But
yeah. They have a ton of 10th
iPad.
gens for $314. So a little bit more you get the next generation, which I'm sure is just, I'm sure still fine.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a inexpensive iPad and it's good. It's good if you needed something for a kid, or heck, like again, it's basically a screen you can put your finger against to charge someone like $5 for a piece of pizza. But this is the great way to do it. So
yeah, that works.
Yeah,
that totally works.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going, by the way? Like, we're a little deep in the band season. Everything going well?
Yeah. Our showcase, so the competition we put on, is Saturday.
Okay, so we're recording this on a Thursday, so people will hear this after the fact.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, hey, yes. I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with Fortress Obets?
Fortress? No.
It's kind of down in your neck. Well, I mean, it's kind of down in your neck of the woods. So I don't spend a lot of time in Southeast Columbus. Okay. But I have journeyed down there for gun related reasons, let's say. And every time I've driven down that part of 270, when you actually start getting near Obets, there's like highway signs. You know how, let's say, like, Obets 22 or, whatever town or whatever exit's coming up, right? There's always been these signs for this thing that says Fortress Obets. And I thought, is this like National Guard related or whatnot? Because one time I stopped at the Chipotle in Obets, and it was just chock full of young, creamy army people. Okay, like just okay. Chock full of people in uniform. And I thought, Fortress Obets and where I stopped, it must be military related, right? And so last weekend, ironically, we did the Columbus Buddy Walk. It was in support of like Down syndrome and other disabilities and things like that. And we have some friends that have a child that has Down syndrome. So we went down in the just absolute pouring rain, by the way, on that Sunday. We went down to Obetz, and this event was at Fortress Obetz. I didn't know it though. So we plugged in the directions to the GPS, and sure enough, it takes you like all the way down 270 and into like you get off at the Obetz exit, and there's like that huge, like weird interchange down there. You go past the Columbus Auto Auction, which is just always an amazing thing to drive past, just the sheer scale of that. And we start winding through this neighborhood, and we get to what I can best describe from a distance looks like a high school stadium. So Fortress Obetz, I thought for sure this would be kind of in your wheelhouse, but it is like an outdoor complex that is owned by, I guess, Obetz. And the lore that I understand is that this used to be a racetrack.
Okay.
And sure enough, like when we were doing the walk, there's like a soccer field there. There's bleachers. I guess people use it for football games or like a minor league soccer team or whatnot. But the complex itself is built out of shipping containers, and there's like a bar. There's like common areas. Like it's actually really, really freaking cool. And they have a ton of parking. Like I thought for sure we were going to like some high school, but then when we got there and we saw the scale of the parking lot, I'm like, what is this? But it is like this outdoor entertainment type place where they do events. And I thought for sure maybe you would have at least caught a concert or something here.
No, I've never even heard of it.
Okay.
At all.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's too far from you. Yeah. I mean, Obetz is like, I guess a little, I mean, it's probably north of where you're at.
A little bit, but yeah. Hold on. Let's ask the internet.
Like how far away you are?
How far away it is. Fortress Obetz. 22 minutes.
Okay.
So, okay. Yeah. It's northeast of here. Yeah. So I have to get on the freeway.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we get there too. But it's actually a really cool little place. So shout out to them. Like, and I mean, just because it was raining, there's not a lot of covered places to stand, especially when there's a ton of people around. Right. But no, it was still a good time. So I just thought that place was really cool. I just thought I'd mention it because see if it was something that you were familiar with. Can I talk about computer stuff?
Absolutely.
All right. So where I work, we do a lot of data and AI related things for customers, let's say. And I don't know if you know this, Paul, but portable document format, aka PDFs, are a terrible place to put your data.
Yeah.
So I want you to think about canonical tabular data. Okay. Mm-hmm. What do you think of when you think of tabular data?
Well, more often than not, you see that in Excel.
You would see that in Excel, right? Rows, columns, you have some words, and then you have a measurement or maybe a group of measurements and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Or if you're a little more nerdy, maybe a CSV. Comma separated value.
Yeah, you know what? Bring it on. Yeah. I'm for, JSON is, that's fine, I guess. There's lots of different ways for you to store data. And the problem is that sometimes when you want to mass distribute some facts and figures, what do? You take Excel, you might do a little copy and paste into something like Microsoft Word, and you got yourself like a document, and then inside of there, you got like a facts and figures table that might outline like, number of people who went to Fortress Obetz month over month. And it might be like a little table with the months and then, the facts and figures, and then maybe they break it down by demographics. The point is now you have this portable document format that is designed to be open on pretty much any computer in existence that has text and it's got graphics and it's got tabular data in it. Well, wouldn't you know that there's a lot of people out there that really want to go the other way. So now
of course,
you have all this data in this portable document format that now you want to get this tabular data back out of. And Paul, I'm here to tell you that really fucking sucks. So here's the problem. So the portable document format, if for those of you that don't know, like an actual Adobe PDF, if you were to crack that bad boy open, like it has semantic structure inside of it. Okay. It has text, like you can extract text from it. The problem is that when you're actively targeting a table, it's not like HTML where there's like tags that basically say, hey, a table starts here. Here's the table headers. Here's the table rows. It's all just positional text. So there have been people who have over the years have developed different software packages and anything from Python to Java to .NET, that their whole reason that they exist is to basically take PDF documents and try to extract different sections of text from it. And they all work with some varying degree of success. What it ultimately comes down to is, what does your actual table look like in your document? If you have a table that has cells with actual boxes around it, that's pretty easy because you can train a software algorithm to look for those boxes, identify them as regions of text, say, the first one's my header row, and I want to extract all the X and Y coordinates out of what that is on that page. But because we are people who crave aesthetics, when you make your tables more fancy, or maybe you alternate colors for rows, or you don't use lines to separate cells, whew, boy, let me tell you, that's not a fun time. There's not a lot of software out there that is free, I'll say that is free, that does this. So you got to think to yourself, Paul, how would you solve this problem?
I mean, there's lots of good, there's different ways to approach this, right? There are tools out there that do cost money that, do a pretty decent job. Or, you could just, you could train a robot.
Yeah. So
you can train a robot.
Yeah. And generally, a lot of those software packages that you're talking about that cost money, that's what they're doing. They're using what's called optical character recognition, or OCR, to basically say, boy, this looks an awful lot like a table. I'm going to identify this region of the page as a table of facts and figures, and then I'm going to try to divine what the table structure is, and then give you some programmatic structure around that, okay? Now, again, all of these work with varying degrees of success. It's really hard to train a robot to do this because, again, I'll give you a perfect example. Say you're looking at a document, and in the middle of the page, there's a table.
Yep.
Now, the table has a header. And when I say the header, like imagine like the table is a 4x4 column, 4x4 tables and rows. Okay, so 16 total cells. But the first 4 cells are merged and have a title. And then underneath that, there's no lines. So maybe the title is black background, white text, but then underneath that, there's just some white background, black text in positions with no cell markers other than white space. And then right below that, the leftmost column is white background, black text with, again, white space as the main delimiter. But then the next 9 cells, if you're still following along, all have, lines. Most of those programs will successfully recognize the 9x9 section. A lot of them will vary in being able to pick up the other context. Or worst case, what a lot of them seem to do is they will start to merge those cells together. So you're trying to get, really in this particular instance, you're trying to get basically 5 times, you're basically trying to get 20 cells as opposed to, or not 20 cells. You're trying to get 12 cells instead of 16 or something, right? Where you don't necessarily care about that first row. You can take it or leave it because it's just like a title. What you really want are the cell and row identifiers with the 9 cells in between, right? what a lot of programs will do is they will start to mash all of those other things together. So all of a sudden it looks like maybe it's one row, depending on how far the cells are spaced apart, how much padding there is. It's really tough. Where versus our monkey brains, we can look at that
Right.
and we know it's like, oh, there's a clear delineation here. So I have somebody that I'm working with who really wants to solve this problem. They have a lot of data that has been accumulated over the years through different research papers and different other things where they want to extract some of these things. The problem is, as opposed to all the other problems that I've said before, is that one, even if you find a solution to one or two of these documents, you might get a document that's formatted completely different. So it's very hard to come up with a one-size-fits-all solution to this particular problem, which leads me to the link that I put in the chat. So we live in an era now where AI is absolutely a thing. And there are all sorts of different generative AI scenarios. I think a lot of people, when they think of generative AI, they think of something like OpenAI or ChatGPT, where it's like, draw me a picture of a hot guy with his shirt off, and then you get a picture of a guy with his shirt off, right? Or you talk to ChatGPT to ask it to help you like pass your AP physics exam or something, right? Like
I'm about to ask my AI to generate me an image of a hot man with the shirt.
Yeah, well, welcome to my chat history, I guess. Well, anyway, but there are these other sort of models that are designed for object recognition. And usually people who work in this field, they refer to this as computer vision. And by the way, computer vision isn't necessarily new. There have been algorithms long before this current generation of generative AI where it's like, you have a picture, you ask the robot, what's in this picture? And it'll be like suitcase or computer or soda or cat, right? Yeah. It's like, and it'll give you a confidence score. Like, I'm 87% sure this is a cat, and it's like a ficus tree. But like, but like, those things have been around for a while. And now we live in this era of these generative AI models that have been trained to identify specific things. Oh, hey, you sent me. Whoa, look at this creamy young man.
Yeah, just go ahead and check the chapter art right now.
Can you
it will be this picture.
Can we do it without the beard?
Oh, is that what?
Look at that man's traps. Holy shit. And why is he on a beach? Put him in a forest. Let me see more of that torso.
Well, I mean, he's a hot man with his shirt off. Of course he's at the beach.
Jeez, get out of my dreams and into my car. Okay.
All right, let's just say, do it again, but without the beard and in a forest.
Yeah, and say wet skin, like he's getting rained on. Just do this for me, all right? It
wait. It doesn't take too long.
No, it's pretty good at drawing hot dudes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I want to see. Sometimes they have a hard time doing, like, if you tell them to make them wet. Like sometimes like their hair will still be like the first gentleman you generated had like spiky hair, and it would just be like that with like water drops on. And I'm like, no, robot, that's not how real hair works. So he doesn't have a plastic head.
I asked for wet skin. It didn't say anything about the hair, so we'll see what happens. Okay.
We'll see how smart your robot is.
This one is not as good.
Okay.
This one would not be in the podcast.
Let me see. What are we working with here? Woof.
He has a beard and a shirt.
I wouldn't even call that a shirt. That looks like a friggin' wetsuit or some body armor or something. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, I think it
Tobey Maguire, is that you?
A wetsuit.
Kind of looks like Tobey Maguire.
Okay, anywho.
All right. Well, enough young men. Boy, that's going to be hard to explain in my chat history. Why is Paul sending me pictures of dudes? Anyway, so there are generative AI models that do this. So after spending like 3 days literally ramming my face into my keyboard trying to solve this problem, what I came across is this thing called Lava. And it is basically a chatbot that was a fine tune of Llama, which Llama is a large language model.
Metas.
Yeah, it's basically Facebook / Metas. And I would put that on quality with anything that basically OpenAI is doing right now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think people can go back and forth. I think a lot of people in the open source community like using Llama because unlike the GPTs, they're not, they're not owned by OpenAI. Their Meta sort of gives them away with certain terms of use and all this other stuff. So they're extremely popular with a lot of my customers that don't want to use OpenAI for whatever reason. So Lava is basically a image classifier that is designed to summarize or provide feedback on images. So if you sort of look down in the model card, I sent you over to this website called Hugging Face, which is just the best place to go for any sort of generative AI stuff, where you can basically read in an image programmatically. And then just like you can with what are called retrieval augmented generation, where you provide specific context to the chatbot. So an analogy would be, I can go to ChatGPT right now and I can ask it like, who is Drew Ferguel? And it's probably going to pull up like something about my blog or something on LinkedIn or whatever it was trained on, right? But what I could do is I could take all the documents off of my blog and I could put those into essentially a database, and I can ask the chatbot the same question, but also provide relevant documents about me so it knows more about me when it answers the question. I'm not retraining the model, I'm just providing additional context. So this kind of does the same thing. So what you do is you basically provide the image of what you want this LLM or this chatbot to summarize, and then you basically ask it, what am I looking at? And it will take in the image. It'll take in what you asked it. It will use the knowledge that it was trained on, and it'll give you an answer. So going back to the original case problem here is, let's say I have a PDF with a facts and figure in it. I could convert that page of the PDF to an image, and I could feed it to this, and I could say, tell me what's on this document. And it would basically read the document. If there's graphics or tables or anything in it, it would say, this looks like a brochure that talks about a vacuum cleaner, and it has various facts and figures on the page about its capabilities and how much it costs, for example, right? But you can get super targeted in the question. You could be like, hey, bot, here's an image. I want you to find the table on this page, and I want you to extract all of the pieces of data from the table and give it to me in JSON. And what it'll do is it will use its computer vision, imitation monkey brain to look at it and say, that looks like a table. Here's the table headers, here's the table rows, and with the data that I've been throwing at it, it's pretty good. Like it's able to identify the rows even with just white space and basically give me back the information out of that image. Now the only problem is that if your image is low res, its OCR might misinterpret a number, or if it's slightly skewed or something like that, like your mileage may vary. But essentially what I've been building over the past few days is, you give me a PDF document. I can use other Python or other programming languages to basically go through every page of the PDF. And I have tools that can very, very accurately find tables that are in that document. I can crop them out and I can make them separate images. I can then take each image of the table that I find, upscale it, and then feed it to this and ask it to extract it, and then save off the relevant JSON documents, clob them together into one, and presto changeo, I now have all of the structured data out of these various PDF documents.
That's neat.
It's pretty fucking neat. It's pretty good. Is it perfect? No. But I'm working on improving its accuracy right now. And ultimately what you could do, and this is where things get really interesting, is let's say that all of your documents were of a certain format. You could grab 100 of them, and you could take this base model and you could fine tune it by basically saying, hey, here's 100 documents. Here's all the answers ahead of time to help you do this better. And then I could take that and rerun it with data it hasn't seen before and basically get better results. But I don't have access to enough documents to do that right now, so I'm sort of proving this out as a viable solution, and it's pretty good. I mean, the biggest thing is just getting access to compute that can like put something like this into a GPU, and like that's not necessarily cheap to do in the cloud. So it's like, you gotta weigh all that, but it's pretty good. And like, I don't know, when it comes to actually operationalizing some generative AI stuff like this, it's really kind of wild what you can do. And like Hugging Face has all of these libraries and things that make it really easy to use different models and import them, run them locally, or set them up as an API service. Like it's actually pretty interesting. So if you nerd out on that kind of stuff, like, I mean, I'll talk about it whenever you want. But anyway, that's something cool I've been working on. It's a really, really tough problem to solve, just because try as you might, just doing this with base programming, it's just really fucking hard. Now, like you said, there are commercial software packages that do this, but a lot of times customers, are already paying for software. They don't want to pay for one more piece of software.
Right.
And even then, it's not a guarantee that it's going to do it right 100% of the time. So leveraging computer vision for this and OCR and stuff like that actually kind of works. And I'm not the biggest like let's solve every problem with AI type person, but after spending 3 or 4 days in this space and looking at what's available for free, and the type of data that I'm dealing with, like I really truly think that this is the ultimate place where this kind of ends up. So yeah, that's and then I found $5.
Yeah, there you go. Oh,
okay.
That's cool though.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. One last topic for tonight, because as I laid in bed last night, kind of thinking about things. Paul, how many friends is enough friends?
How many friends is enough friends?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, one friend can be enough if it's a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know. That's a hard question.
It's a hard question.
That's a hard question.
So the reason I'm asking this question is I was laying in bed the other night and I was thinking about a whole bunch of people in my life that are important to me, but I haven't spoken to in a while. And it just got me.
Yeah, I have those.
And I'm just thinking, like, are they like? I guess the real question to be asking here is like, if someone isn't in what you call your close friend sphere, whether that's one person or a dozen, I guess a couple of different ways of looking at this is, can you have 12 best friends, or can you have like one best friend and then like 8 really good friends and like 100 acquaintances? Like, I guess, how do you sort of classify? And I'm not, this isn't meant to put you on the spot, or, I'm not going to talk about anybody specific, including me. But like, how do you sort of like think about the people in your life that are your friends? Like, I guess, do you have different tiers of people that you keep up with more than others? Like, I guess, how do you do that?
Yeah, I do have some friends I talk to more than others. That's for sure. I don't know. Like, to me, it's less about tiers and more about context.
Okay, interesting.
Like I have friends that I have friends that I made from work. Some of those I don't talk to as much. Some do I still do.
Okay.
Like you. I have some that I still actively work with that I would call friends. I have people that I've just like met kind of organically over life.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends that I've met through my wife's friends. I have friends that I've made at, at band events and things like that. So, yeah, to me, it's more about context.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But do any of those contexts mean more to you than something else?
Yeah. I don't. That's tough. Maybe I have 2 groupies. Maybe I do have tiers.
Okay, I mean that's kind of what I'm getting at, right? Is like, are you as close to your work friends as you are to?
No,
I mean,
no,
like your like your metal friends, the people you go to concerts with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, probably not. No. Well, some, maybe. It's complicated, Drew. Friends are complicated.
Friends are very complicated. And speaking to somebody who, the way I tend to think of this is, And boy, this is going to sound real bad. I tend to think of the people that I consider to be my good friends if they value me as one of their upper tier friends. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see
like
that.
a mutual thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I really think about the people in my life that are mutuals, right? People that I hold in extremely high regard, people that I trust with my life, people, if they called me, I would give them anything that I could. I've got like maybe counting on 1-2 hands tops. It's a pretty small circle. And I think there's pros and cons to that, because I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, let's face it. And there's definitely people that I wish I was closer with, but we're just not. We're in different phases of our life, or we travel in different circles, or we have vastly different interests. It's tough, right? Like I'm definitely the person who enjoys when people value me as a friend. I know that I'm bad at reciprocating, which is also a me problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Like, do you have a number? Like, do you have a solid number that you could like rattle off and say these are my close friends?
I'd have to think about it, but it's probably like.
I mean, it's fresh in my mind, so I guess that's why maybe I like have that.
Yeah.
Oh, I have more shirtless men. Are you trying to distract me? Okay, now we're talking. I'm gonna save that one for later.
Yeah. Every chapter is going to be a different name.
That's pretty funny, though. That might be our new gimmick.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Anyway, it just was something that was burning in my mind. I mean, I consider you one of my good friends. I really do.
Yeah, same. We literally talk it almost once a week.
Yeah, and we do stuff out of this when time permits.
We do stuff.
Yeah. It's a busy time of year for both of us, I think. I mean, you've got band stuff, but I know that like if I called you up and said, "Hey, how about a game night?" 2 weekends from now, like you'd be in. Like
I'd be there. I'd be there.
Yeah, and I would actually let you into my house. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, bestie.
Okay, bestie.
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap this up so I can go to bed. I'm sleepy.
Me too.
Hey, we're on the internet, doingthebest.com. You can find show notes, links, email address, anything you need. And hey, thanks for listening.